Boruto chapters 2 and 3. So in my month-long endeavor to catch up on all things Boruto, I've finally gotten to the end of chapter 3. I've been jumping around and then I just won't read for a super long time. I decided to put these two chapters together because honestly, there's nothing to talk about for chapter 2. It is just like the first chapter. It's basically exactly Boruto the movie. I feel like the first chapter at least switched things up a little bit, and chapter 3 definitely added some elements. There were literally actual sequences added of other characters where I was like, okay, this is at least worth talking about. But chapter 2, there was nothing to it. The only thing I got from chapter 2 was oh man, I didn't realize in the first chapter that for whatever inexplicable reason, Konohamaru's scarf looks different. It's not like it is in the movie or even in the current anime, which it surprised me because I just assumed with the way they changed the characters in the manga, because of course that came out after the film, that's exactly how all the characters would look in the anime. But when it gets to the anime, Konohamaru has the same, it's like the scarf is just plain blue, but in the manga, it's kind of like Naruto's scarf from the last, where it's different colors and it's got lines going through it. And I was like, that's such a weird freaking thing to change up. Just draw the scarf. There are other changes where I was, even for the first chapter, I was like, I don't know why anything is different. It's already following the movie. It might as well keep everything exactly the same. So that was pretty much all I got from chapter 2. Was oh, I noticed Konohamaru's scarf is different, even though it went back to the original design when they finally put it into the anime, which makes sense because it's probably way easier instead of having different lines and stuff. Just it's blue and then just draw the black marks in there to show it's bent or whatever. So that's all I got from chapter 2. In between reading chapter 2 and chapter 3, that's when I found out all the stuff about Sada's costume and everything, because I mentioned in my review for the first episode of the actual anime, I thought that with the anime going back in time, that was Sada's younger costume, and then she would change to what she had in the first manga that they did, which focused on her. In Boruto the movie, she has a different costume. Even if you play the games, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, if you have the DLC for Boruto, Sada doesn't have the new costume. She has the old one where it's just the burgundy sort of jacket pieces, kind of similar to what Sakura used to wear in the beginning, and the Spanx, I guess they're called. I really don't know. I don't wear them. So, that was okay, that was her costume, and she had the sleeves and stuff. I like that costume. I thought it was pretty cool. And seeing this one, I was like, okay, I like the fact that it's brighter red. I think the red looks better than burgundy. But I was like, it's not that big of a deal. I didn't think it was that cool of a costume. I'm definitely not a big fan of ascots. I don't know if that's a Scooby-Doo thing where it's all I think of is Freddy from Scooby-Doo. But I'm it's an ascot. It doesn't look cool to me. The jacket itself, I think, is fine. And then, of course, there's a whole controversy about it being too provocative, which I certainly noticed because I was like, man, that skirt's super short. Even the first pose is her with her leg up. And I didn't even notice she had heels until I finally got into the fact that it was a big deal for people. I was like, oh man, I didn't even notice she wore heels. And of course it's super, super short. And I was like, that's really crazy. And just in general, I was like, it just doesn't look as cool. So I'm glad that this is her early costume, and then she's going to change into the Boruto movie costume. And that'll be when she gets a bit older, when they get the 3-man teams and stuff, she'll switch it up and that'll be her costume. And then I realized reading through chapter 3, no, that doesn't make sense, because why would they have this costume in the manga? It didn't dawn on me until I was reading the 3rd chapter with the tuning exams, and after I went through the whole thing about how it was a controversy, and then I reread the manga again, I was like, oh crap, if that were the case, if it was that was her younger costume from the anime, and then she'd get the Boruto costume, she wouldn't be wearing the same costume right now with the ascot and stuff. So I was like, crap, I just like the old costume. That's me personally. Even outside of the whole provocative thing, it is a super, super short skirt. Even the Spanx that she is wearing, you don't see them outside of really crazy scenes, because that means you basically are seeing straight up her skirt. There's literally one sequence where she's bending and it's a front angle and they had to draw something. I was like, okay, that makes it weird a little bit, because they could have made them just make them on every other female character, just do what they did. Ino, in her original costume was kind of the same thing. Most of her costumes, actually, she always has the skirt and then the long Spanx that go just before her knees. It was yeah, that's just a cool costume. And with this, it's just man, it's she's wearing something that's an inch below her waist, and that's it. And it does look a little weird. So it's crazy that that's a change that they decided to go with. A lot of people talking about how pervy the new artist is and stuff. It makes me laugh, but it's just even outside of the sexual stuff, that's just not that good of as good of a costume to me personally. And another big thing about it is that I feel like the new costume doesn't really fit her character. I felt like the original costume made so much more sense with her. It was a simple outfit, and it was a very simple design, not flashy or anything like that. It was just a simple, straight outfit, and she had the sleeves and stuff. And I was like, I feel like that fits her character because she's much more mature compared to Boruto, where he has like, the open jacket. He's like kind of the wild child, and he just wears his jacket wide open and stuff like that. And now she's almost dressed like Ino, I feel, would be dressed. Like, I feel like that would fit Ino's character from the original series, but I don't feel like it fits Sada because she's so much more serious. I felt like her having a more serious look where it's just like, it was almost a one-piece suit, but it was, kind of the dress. So I just felt that fit her character better just because of her personality. I was like, I just feel like that works way more for her character compared to this new version where it's like she's dressed and it's almost like she's like the hot chick or something. I'm like, she doesn't even, it almost doesn't match because I feel like if it was Ino, there would at least be some dialogue in there about how she's dressed that way and it's like that's what she wants to wear because she wants to look attractive or something. But for Sada, I'm like, that's just the new costume and it just doesn't seem to fit to me. So that's, obviously this has nothing to actually do with the chapters or anything, just more with another weird design. Like I mentioned, Sasuke just looking weird, and Hinata, them changing her costume from the movie. And there was one, and I actually put this on Twitter because it just had me laughing. But when they're at the tuning exams, and there's the part where they're answering the question, and Boruto, Sada, and Mitsuki are trying to figure things out. It's like, man, Sada doesn't know the answer. So Mitsuki looks and he's like, well, I guess we're done for then. But the way his face was drawn looked so insanely ridiculous because it was like a small version of him, and it just didn't look right. It was just like, that doesn't even look like the character. But it made me laugh so much. And I read on manga here, and for anyone who doesn't, they have like the Tsukomis, I believe they're called. I forgot what they actually call them. But people, basically, you just put little annotations in there, and you can turn them on or off. And I was reading it with them on because it makes me laugh sometimes. And someone just put, is this even art? And it just made me laugh even harder because I was like, man, that just looked nothing like him. And then like 2 panels later, after they pass everything, there's a scene of Mitsuki looking at Sada, and his hair is like insanely detailed and stuff. And I'm like, that just makes it look weird because we don't see that in any of the other panels. You see that it's kind of curvy and stuff, but then it's like flowing luxurious hair, and I'm like, that just doesn't fit. Like they do that. And it kind of goes back and forth, and it was just really weird. So that was just one of those other random things. Sai's costume is like minutely different, which every time it's super small, it makes me wonder why in the world it was even changed. But his costume is also a bit different from the Boruto movie. I think I like it a little bit better because he was wearing like an actual jacket and there's a shirt underneath. And in the Boruto movie, it was basically like his Shippuden outfit. It was just a long sleeve shirt. And he had the big scroll on his back. So I was like, I kind of like this a little bit more because it gives a bit of a flair to it. And he has like gloves on and it's like a jacket. Some people mention he looks like Michael Jackson with the pose, which he kind of did, was funny. But I was like, okay, that's weird that any of it's changed when it's so minute. But I thought it was a better change. And plus, maybe considering all of Sai's costumes, they are like all black. So maybe that was another reason to change his costume because it's like it would kind of be one color. So they made it like a black jacket with the sleeves rolled up so it's white, and then the inside is white too. So I was like, alright, I can understand why you might change that just for the manga version to add some detail to it. So, and plus I think that looks a little bit better. But still, random little change. The one thing I really enjoyed about Chapter 3 is that they actually added a couple of panels for some of the other kids. And I really enjoyed that because with this going through Boruto the movie, the whole reason that I reread the manga these first couple of chapters is because I'm like, I know they have to add something in here that's actually worth reading through. It can't literally be the exact same thing from the film. There's got to be something new. And this was the panel, or this was the chapter where they finally actually added some real stuff because we got to see some stuff of Metal Lee working out a little bit, which, there wasn't much there. But, the big thing was actually with Gaara and Kankuro and, their people kind of coming to the village. And I love that scene because in the movie, and I said this in my review, I was like, okay, all these random kids, you got, they show some of them talk and everything. You got like, Shikacho team, of course. So we see all the kids, Shikamaru, Sai, and then of course our main 3 characters. And so then there is this one kid in the background of the movie, and I'm like, I don't know who that is, but he looks like he has a cloak that's literally metal sand. So clearly he's got something to do with Gaara. but he had zero purpose in the film. But I'm like, that character is going to be relevant in the future, and I know that for a fact, because you don't make a character look that sweet and then nothing happens. And of course, we get the explanation that that boy, as well as the two members of his team, are actually all three of Gaara's children. And I was like, okay, that adds a lot of good elements to these clearly, especially him, because the other two characters I didn't notice, but especially in the animation, it's like he's got sand literally moving because it's a cloak that he's controlling, just like Gaara. So the sand is moving around him as he's standing still, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what this kid's deal is, but he looks freaking sweet. He's got an amazing design. Got something to do with Gaara's abilities, obviously, but he had no purpose in the film. So I was just waiting to get some information on him and his team, and it turns out that those are Gaara's children. So Gaara's three children form a team just like Gaara did with Tamari and Kankuro. So I thought that was actually kind of cool. And we just find out, like those are actually his kids. They're going together. And we don't really see their abilities too much outside of the boy who has like the most obvious ability, where it's like clearly that, of course, that was going to end up being sand. I say it was metal sand just because if you haven't seen the movie, it is silver. It's not brown or anything like that. Like, it's legitimately like silver. It looks like it's actually metal sand. Kind of like if you watched like the first, what was that? Sasori versus Sakura and Granny Chiyo, like the metal sand that they were using. It looks like that to me. So I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But I was like, that kid has a cool design. I know he's got to be relevant in some way, shape, or form in the manga. So I was like, okay, he's Gaara's kid. One of three of Gaara's kids. So I was like, alright. It just adds some depth to who those characters are. Because I'm like, that kid's design is way too sweet to just be like a useless background character. It was too cool. So good to see them. Don't really like Gaara's design. That was the one thing they could have changed, but they totally kept that the same. Like all the weird stuff they changed. He totally kept Gaara's hairstyle, and I'm just like, I can't get behind that. It just looks so weird to me, like just that slick look, and I'm just like, ugh. It just doesn't, like him with the spikes, I just felt weird. Or even if he like slicked it backwards, he's just got like that weird boy band curve thing going. I'm just like, I just don't like it that much. So that's just a personal gripe like that. Kishimoto actually did that one, and I don't like it, so that's all on him. But it was a decent chapter, nothing to it really outside of those couple of extra moments where I'm like, okay, I learned who these characters are. We see a little bit of Metal Lee, and that's really about it. Other than that, it was once again Boruto, but I was like, at least they changed some elements still, or added some elements, I should say. There were some other minor random changes, once again, like, Sai's outfit, being a full-on jacket, but not as big a deal as like Sasuke looking weird and having like a totally different hairstyle. Like him having a different hairstyle doesn't make sense, especially considering, once again, we had Boruto the movie. Like Gaara's hair already looked like that in the movie, so transferring that is like, that's just what Kishimoto did. Cool. But changing Sasuke's hair, like the whole point of Sasuke is he's always got spikes. No matter how impossible his hair looks, if he's got two, curves and a curve going back or whatever, it's going to end in a spike. And it was like, that's just the biggest weird change for his hairstyle. And I would also think that takes more time than just going like, just put a bunch of little V's in there, or little, upside down triangles. But I don't know, whatever it is, it's already that way now, so I just got to deal with it. But it was decent. It was fine. I was glad that something was actually added for chapter 3, because if there was literally nothing, I probably would have been doing a bunch of chapters together. So getting into chapter 4, the craziest thing is that on chapter 4, the first page, the color panel says like the first 3 chapters of this manga were volume 1 of the manga, and I'm like, wow, the first 3 chapters of this freaking thing were just like the first parts of Boruto the movie, just in manga form, with nothing really added to them outside of a few panels. The Sasuke fight versus the Kaguya people were switched around, and that was about it. So that was interesting. I was like, okay. One thing that I found interesting, because I was, like I said, reading the thing on manga here, a lot of people, I guess, haven't seen the movie, so a bunch of people were surprised. I was reading through, and a lot of people were like, oh, he's cheating and this and that, and they were shocked how it was going to play out. I was like, I guess a lot of people skipped the movie, because, I mean, good for those people, because if you haven't seen the movie yet, you just don't. I mean, I know it's into the actual story at this point, but just, I guess you can watch it if you're caught up, because otherwise you'll be disappointed. You're going to learn everything you can, and you'll see it way better, because it'll be animated and super freaking awesome. Because the way they end Boruto the movie, the fight scene is absolutely amazing. Like, I love the action in that, so I wouldn't mind seeing it again in manga form, but it's like, it's not going to be as cool as when I saw it in the movie, which is freaking epic. But 2 decent chapters. Well, chapter 3 was fine. Chapter 2 is literally just Boruto the movie, just like the first one. Random character changes noticed once again, and then the whole side of the costume thing is just like, that sucks. I was so sure that when the anime came out, I was like, okay, they jumped so far back in time. That's when she was younger. So when they get up to the point of them being three-man teams, she'll change costumes. Hopefully they bring that back. I would love to see that happen. I don't know if there have been flash forwards with Sada yet or whatever in the manga, but all I can think of is like, man, I really hope they change that costume again because I think the original costume just looks better, and I feel personally, personality wise, I just think it fits her character a lot better than the kind of like super short skirt, high heels outfit. I'm like, that just doesn't seem like her type of character because she's the book smart type character. She's like Sakura, where she's serious and book smart, or well, Sakura and Sasuke. Like she has both their personality. So it's just like I just don't feel like her costume fits her personality. But that's just a personal gripe. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about these two chapters if you're interested in talking about them. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.